Hi pals. So, if you're not following me on any of my other social media accounts, you may not know that I've been working on another Tom DeLonge style build. Now, this one was modeled after a guitar he very frequently used in the late 90s and early 2000s. This is why I had the other Strat. I bought this body because it was very hard to get. It's so hard to get this color. Otherwise, I mean, I could have painted it myself with the right color, but I didn't really want to go that route in case it didn't come out perfect. And I really wanted to try and get as close to the original build as possible. Shout out to a guy named Brian who actually owns one of Tom's other guitars. He owns the 333 that Tom used at Warped Tour that had like the big Ava spray painted across it. He did a lot of digging on this. And him and I both talked to the guy that now owns the original one of these, and we just kind of figured out a lot of what was going on with the guitar, and it just sparked my interest to make as close of a version as I could. I did cut a little bit of corners just because I didn't want to wait that long, but it was cutting corners on things that weren't super important, I don't think. So anyway, yeah, so this originally, or Tom's originally had a black pickup in it. And we don't know if it's a neck invader or a bridge invader. I asked Joe, the guy that owns the original now, if he'd be willing to check under the hood, basically. And he just wasn't very comfortable with doing it because, you know, some people don't really want to dig around into their guitars, especially, you know, ones owned by very famous people, which I totally understand, you know, no big deal. So we don't know exactly which pickup it is. We don't know if it has, you know, a treble bleed or anything like that in there, but I ended up going with the new version of what happened with this guitar, which was Tom eventually swapped out the black pickup for a white one. Not sure why, but I'm dead set and dead certain that it is the same guitar. And he did change the sticker. Originally it had the little Hurley logo on there, and then he changed it to the Atticus Broken Heart style logo. And this sticker I custom made. It was basically near impossible to get the original one, which had a little bit had a clear background and a little bit thinner of an outline, but you know, I think I got the sizing pretty much dead on, and I'm happy with how it turned out. I do have extras if anybody's interested. You can buy a couple off me if you want. You know, it did take a bit of effort to do, so I'm not just going to give them away. But anyway, so yeah, the stickers I'm super happy with. The bridge is made by Goto. Now on Tom's, I got some close-up pictures from Joe of as much of it as I could get, and the bridge looks to be an official Fender-made bridge, which I couldn't find a black one anywhere. Not in a 2-point trem. You can get them in the like the 6-point trem, like the vintage style tremolos, but not like this. It was just impossible. Tom must have had somebody at the custom shop just make him a black bridge, and the reason I know it's a Fender is because these saddles have the screw offset. It's not going straight through the center, and I've only ever seen that on Fenders. And it doesn't also have this little lip for the tremolo bar, but you know, it's not a huge deal. The saddles still look the same. It fits and works perfectly. I got it tightened up so it's basically a hardtail now, and yeah, it's still super comfortable and works great, so I have no issues with that. Like I said, I went with a bridge version of the Invader pickup. No treble bleed or anything like that, just because I don't really think it's super necessary, because most of what Tom would always do anyway was, you know, full on 100% just going at it. He didn't really mess with the volume knob all that much, because usually he just went to like the channel switchers on his amps or whatever. The knob was very interesting. I had a hard time figuring out exactly what it was, and it might be kind of hard to tell in the video, but it's not quite black, and it's not quite like stainless steel either. when I asked for some clarification from Joe, he said that it's black, but it's like a shiny black. And that led me kind of on a wild goose chase to try and figure out exactly what I could do, because the only black knobs that I could find were, you know, very obviously black, mostly matte black. And I found somebody on Reverb that was selling what he called black nickel. And I thought it looked perfect. I mean, it looks black in some lights, it looks, you know, chrome or stainless in some lights, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I think that was a perfect choice. The pick guard I just got from Amazon. You know, surprisingly enough, you can get these style pick guards on Amazon, but you can also get them on War Myth or, you know, a number of other sites like WD Music. I reference them a lot. As far as the neck goes, actually, let me back up before I forget. The body color is teal green metallic. It's very specific. It was a color that they did back in the 60s, I think, and then they ended up doing a few years with the American Standard Strats and the Lone Star Strats, the same color. And that's basically why I went and bought, you know, a 97 American Standard Strat or a Lone Star Strat or whatever it was, because there was almost no other way to get this color, and it had to be this color. It had to be this, you know. That's kudos to Brian, the guy who owns the Ava Warped Tour guitar. He's the one that figured out that it's that color, and I totally agree with him now. And, you know, sometimes it looks sage green, which a lot of people say Tom owned a sage green Strat. I can honestly tell you, I really don't think he did. Sometimes it looks almost Daphne blue in some lights. So that's why a lot of people thought he had a Daphne blue in, you know, with the black hardware and everything. I think it was just this guitar, because he uses guitar a lot. And sometimes it was his main guitar for a set. Sometimes he would use the Inca Silver Strat for the main bulk of the set, not without the cape, or without the capo. And this would be the capoed guitar. That was something I hadn't noticed until recently. So yeah, it saw a lot of use, and probably the best quality version of Tom using this guitar that I can reference is in 2001, Blink had done they had done a couple like live official videos in Chicago. If you type in Blink-182 Chicago 2001, you'll find a bunch of videos, but the What's My Age Again video was him using, you know, this guitar with the capo, not the Inca Silver, and you can totally see it's that guitar. And then I think in maybe 2002 or late 2001, they played, God, I want to say First Date. It was either First Date or The Rock Show at like Pepsi or something, like Pepsi Smash or something. I don't remember, but he was using this guitar as well. But that was when he finally had swapped over to this pickup. So maybe he had a problem with the pickup or something. I don't know. All right, so onto the neck. It's Warmoth made neck. I use Warmoth for a ton of parts. I would have used it for the body if I could have, but they don't offer this color. It's a maple neck, and this is actually their modern style neck. So it doesn't have a skunk stripe on the back, and Tom's didn't either. Tom's was, obviously it wasn't a Warmoth neck, but his style didn't have the skunk stripe, which is why I went with that. Although the Warmoth does have this little thing on the side here for a micro adjustment on the tension. Otherwise, the truss rod access is at the heel. It's got 6150 frets, which is basically a medium jumbo. Normally, I would have gone with a straight 9.5 inch radius, but since I was trying to speed the build time up a lot, I ended up just going with the Warmoth radius, which they already had in stock, which was a 10 inch at the top down to a 16 down here. And then it's a standard thin contour, so it's a fairly thin neck, but it's not like paper thin. It's not like an Ibanez or anything like that. I feel like it's a little bit thinner than most fenders, but it's still pretty comfortable. I went with Spurzl locking tuners, which is exactly what Tom had on his. Black with the silver the silver posts there. And then the logo is actually a water slide decal, and it's nothing I've done before, but this logo specifically, it says Fender Stratocaster with synchronized tremolo, and then it's got like a patent number underneath it. And that was very specific to Tom's guitar, because what he basically had was like I think it was a 69 version of the neck, which is, you know, fitting for Tom. Because it was only the very late 60s that had this style logo. Once you get into the 70s, they dropped that with synchronized tremolo writing on there. So I really wanted to find that, because I always thought that extra writing was pretty cool. And his says Fender Custom Shop on the back. I didn't get a logo for that. I didn't really care. And then it has like this roller style string tree on there. That was very specific as well. Lastly, it's just got the pearl back plate on there, and then his has the F logo. It's like a very 70s style F logo, and his has a serial number on there, but I didn't obviously get one with a serial number. And then his actually had this little black cushion around the neck plate, which I never used before, but I figured why not? I could get one for a couple bucks. I just threw it on there. Tom's has silver or chrome strap buttons, but I figured I'd just put black ones on there because it just kind of fit. And that's basically it. I mean, I'm super pleased with how this turned out. I had tried doing a build on this guitar a few years ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and it didn't quite turn out how I wanted it to. I used an ocean turquoise fender body. It had a vintage 6-point trem on it instead of the 2-point, and the color wasn't quite right, and I don't know. It was a cool guitar, but I knew I could do it better after I figured out all this extra info, and I really think it's probably the best build that I've done. I'm super happy with it. It sounds great. I do think I prefer the neck version of the bridge these days, so me personally, I would probably put the neck version in there if I was going to keep it, but since I'm selling this, I think it'll be fine with the bridge in there. It's just a little hotter for sure. So I don't know if you guys got any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm definitely going to be selling it. I didn't really plan on keeping this from the start. That's just kind of what I do. A lot of people don't get that, but I like making these guitars to have a little fun with, and then send on their way and make somebody else happy. So it's not quite for sale yet, but it will be soon. And yeah, it really just plays great. I'm going to give you some tone examples now, and I got some covers coming. I've already worked on a couple that'll be available on my Patreon as early as now. As soon as this video goes live, I'll have at least one on there. So if you want to see it, hit up my Patreon. It only costs $1 a month to see any of the videos early. So keep an eye out, and yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and here's some tone samples for you.